usually today kids start from 5, 6, 7, and until 10, 11, they already have some experience and they're improving a little bit. But when I was young, it was different, maybe different times. And of course, also, which was easier when I was younger, is that there were not many distractions like now. Obviously, no internet, no mobile phones, TV, computers. So for the children, there was not so many things to do, and it maybe helped us in my generation actually to become a better player. For example, I can give you, in my country, Bulgaria, it's one of the best countries according to chess. We have many, many strong players. And exactly when I was young, it was probably the last good generation, because in my generation, there were dozens of people who become GMs or IMs, and the level was really very competitive. I remember when I was playing at the junior championships, we had, I don't know, let's say 20 players with around 2,400. So it was, to become a champion, to become in the top 3, it was really very, very difficult. You had to compete with a lot of good players. And I think this is one of the conditions for the player to improve, to have a really big competition inside his club, inside his country. Because I have seen many other cases when there is only one good player and he wins every year the championship. He wins. But this is not because he's so good, but only because there is no competition, basically. And then you cannot understand, are you really so good that you win every year, or it's just because the other are very weak? So I think if you have to improve, you have to play with strong players. That's why from my generation, many of those players have become GM or IM, and those who continue to play chess, they have all become really good players. But even if you decide that chess maybe is not going to be your job, so you want to play chess as a junior, it actually helps you for many things. First of all, of course, you know that chess, of course, is helping to the children to think better, it actually helps them to develop different qualities. But okay, imagine that you are a good player in your country, but then you get to this age, 18, 20 years old, when you have to go to university, or if you're a girl, you have to marry at 20, 25, and then you don't know what to do, to continue with chess, not to continue. Even if you decide that, okay, chess was, maybe you're not going to become world champion, but chess will help you to, for many things. First of all, to grow your confidence because you're good at something. Then to travel to different countries. So you meet new people, new cultures, you create a lot of contacts, which you can use later for something else. In my case, it was not easy to travel because when I was young, my family was not so rich, and also we needed visas to go to Western countries. But it was good that in Bulgaria we have many tournaments, because I think this is one of the conditions. If you cannot travel abroad, that you have to play a lot of tournaments, because to improve, you need two things: to train, but also to play. And those two things are, I think, equally important. You should not play too much, because if you play too much, you will get tired. And then obviously you don't prepare so well. So at some moment the level will drop and you will start to lose. But you should play also not so rare, because if you only train for 1 year and then you play one tournament, but one tournament, anything can happen. It can be good, it can be bad. I have such cases for children. I train them for 1 year. They live in some countries where there is not much tournaments. They go to one tournament, they play bad, and their parents says, "Oh, they are very bad. No, we have to stop with chess." Hey, this is only one tournament, but so you depend from 2 games. And also, when you don't play a lot of tournaments, actually, when you go to the tournament, you don't feel confident, because you need this experience to play often, because during the game, when you have to take a decision, sometimes if you have confidence, you take this decision faster. If you're not, you think on every move. Instead of thinking 2 minutes, you think 15 minutes, because you see, oh, maybe now I missed something. I have to double check. I have to check again if this is good. You spend a lot of time, and in the end you get into a time trouble and you lose the game. So this thing you can reduce by playing more tournaments. So you have this experience and it helps you to take decisions faster during the game. So later when I started to become a better player, first of all, how I realized that I'm a good player, because from the start I started to win the games, the tournaments which I was playing, the local ones in my club, in my city, in my area, and then I was playing to the nationals, and I was always in the top 3, something like this. And I started to train more. One important condition for the children to improve is to work alone. If you think that only your coach will help you, it's not going to work very well, because if you don't want to improve and to train, no one can help you. Yes, I can give you something but when you have trainings 1 or 2 hours per week or 3 hours, the rest of the time, if you don't do anything with 1 hour per week, you cannot improve so much. So when I was young, actually I had some coach, but the main thing was that I was training alone every day. I used to buy a lot of chess books. At that time there was no computers, videos, so books. So when I buy a book, I was reading every page. I just set up the chessboard and I was reading every page with annotations, every game, repeating again. And I was trying to understand why they make those moves, what is going on. And that's how I think I managed to improve, by reading a lot of books, going through the games, repeating, trying to understand, then this book, the next book. And I was buying those books mainly of the former world champions who had the annotated games. I think reading the annotated games from the great players is probably one of the best things to improve, because they say here, I have moved here because I wanted to do this and this. I didn't play this because I was afraid of this and this. And when you read this, you can understand how they think. And this is better to watch annotated games. If you only look nowadays, the children, they like to watch games with the computer engines. Oh, computer says here +1, -2, +5, but you don't understand why. What is the reason?
Yes.
So the engines are good. Actually, I think they call this generation nowadays the generations of the computers and engines. And you can see many young players from India, they become GMs, really. They use the computers, but you also need a good coaching. In India, they have a great system for coaching. They have a lot of group trainings. One of the best coaches in the world are there. So it also helps that also India, I think they have some programs, and many kids, they go to Europe. I have seen in Europe, when I go to tournaments, always there is some groups from 20, 30 Indians who go to play, and they don't stay in Europe only for one tournament. They stay for 3, 4 months, 6 months. When I speak with some Indian guy, he says, now I play in Germany, then I go to England, then I go to France, Spain. I don't know how they fund, because it's very expensive to stay 6 months, but somehow they do it. And this is also another problem in chess, that you need to have some funds initially, because when you become grandmaster, yes, they give you conditions. Where you go to play, they give you free hotel, food, something. But when you are not GM, you have to pay everything. So in the past tournaments there was 9, 10 days, which is a lot of expensive, 10 days to pay hotel, flights, food. Today they make sometimes tournaments, you can see 5, 6 days, a lot of double rounds, which is not so good for the quality of the game, but this is better for the expenses, because the people have less expenses, and also the organizers. That's why they prefer to have these tournaments every day, double round, which is quite tiring to play every day 2 games.
Yeah.
So then at some point I became a national champion for juniors first. I went to I think I have played only one time to the World Championship, unfortunately, during this big competition in Bulgaria. I think I played under 16 or was it under 18? I'm not sure exactly. It was a long time ago, but it was in Bratislava, I remember. And I went there without some expectations. I was seated, I don't know, 35 or 40, something like this. So no one was expecting something big from me. And also my coach was not with me at the time. There was only one guy who was some kind of leader of the group. But I had played surprisingly well. And until the round number 9, I was second.
Oh, wow.
But then in the last 3 games, I collapsed. I took only half out of 3. And I finished, I think, 10th place, which was still good, 10th in the world. But with this finish half after 3, I felt like some tragedy. And this was my only experience for the World Championship. Later, I have become champion of Bulgaria for men, 2002, and then 2017 again, a few years ago. I have been in the Bulgarian national team a couple of times, 1 Olympiad, 3 European championships. And I won many tournaments in many different countries, mostly in Europe. In Africa, I haven't played so much. I've played 1 small tournament in Botswana. In Egypt, I have played 1 tournament in Tunisia, in Morocco, but I did well actually in Africa. I think most of the time I was in the top 3 in the ranking. So, yeah, okay. So if you have something else to ask.
Well, what was the toughest thing for you on the journey to get the Grandmaster title? What was the toughest thing that you had to go through or to experience?
Well, actually, yes, the Grandmaster title I actually achieved quite late. I don't remember exactly, but it was maybe 15 years ago or something like this. Because in order to make a Grandmaster, you have to reach, first of all, the rating. It must be 2500. And then you have to make 3 GM norms. And those GM norms are not so easy when you need to play very strong tournaments. Because if you play in a bad tournament, okay, not bad tournament, but normal tournament, in order to acquire this GM norm, you need to have, for example, certain rating, average rating of the players, let's say 2400, and some good result. But when you play a normal tournament and you are one of the top seeds, because with my rating and in the tournaments which I was playing, I was always in the top seeds. So when you're top seeded in the beginning, you play with some bad players. The first few rounds, you play with 1800, 1900, 1600. So you cannot actually achieve this average rating in the end because simply you cannot meet so many good people, strong people. You have also must meet a certain number of players which with international title, GMs or EMs. They have to be, I think, I don't remember, was it 5 or something? And if you don't meet 3 GMs, for example, you cannot make a norm. But in order to make 3 GMs, you have to play a tournament with a lot of GMs, and you have to be all the time in the top part of the tournament, always to be in front. If you lose one game in round 3 or round 4, then you go down. Again, you play with some bad players, so you cannot meet those GMs. So I think the best is to play closed tournaments, because in the closed tournament round robins, they are the GMs, so you can meet them, and then it's up to you if you can get the points, or to play some very strong open tournaments. There's usually in Europe you can find such tournaments with a lot of GMs, but also in those tournaments it's important how you start. If you lose the first game or the second, then you go down, and until you climb again, you cannot reach this average rating. So this is in the past, this was something difficult, that not everywhere you could have made those strong players and to get this average rating, to get this result. I think today it's a little bit more easier because there are more round robins. When I was younger, round robins were only for the top players above 26, and then for this level 23, 24, 25, there was not so much round-robin tournaments. So you have to rely on the open tournaments, which is more difficult.
Okay. Well, the other question, just second last question. So for the young players, there's a lot of young players, especially here in South Africa, that I'm always asking what their chess dream is, and they all want to become grandmasters. So do you think that they should, what advice could you give to them, the kids with this dream to become a grandmaster?
Yes, for some reason in Africa, there are actually not so many strong players in grandmasters. When I see the African Championship, I see those guys from Egypt. Of course, there are a couple of very, very good players from Egypt. I think, I cannot remember, Ahmed Adli, and then this guy also with 2700. Bassem. And then from the other countries, not many GMs. I don't know. I think from Morocco, but I don't know why it's difficult in Africa. Maybe I think probably you don't have a lot of tournaments, because if you can play in 1 year, for example, 5, 6, 7 good tournaments, I think this will help you to improve your rating, to improve your level. But when I check on the list, because sometimes I want to go in Africa to play open tournaments, and I just want to visit, I'm looking for tournaments, and I cannot find many tournaments. There may be 1 or 2, but when I see the list of the players, usually this is only the players from the same country, and from abroad, maybe few players, but not so much. So I think in Africa, probably this is the problem, that you don't have a lot of tournaments. I don't know, in South Africa, also when I was looking for South Africa, I know that in the past there was this open tournament in Cape Town, but it was a long time ago. I don't know now if they make it. But this is the problem, because if you play only once in a year, and then how can you improve? I think you have to train. Of course, the training is very important. You must find either a good coach, or to find some setup where, for example, it could be 5, 6 kids with a similar, let's say, strength, who can train each other, to support each other, to compete with each other, to help. Because when I was young, also I remember when I was going in the chess club, every night I was going in the chess club with my friends, and we were playing every night. We were analyzing some openings, some positions. And it also helps when you have some kind of atmosphere and some people which you can go, and if you feel maybe good with them, you have some friends there. So this is good if you have some community, local community to go and to train every day. If not, if you live maybe in a place where there is no chess club, or there are not so many chess players, then of course you have to, nowadays at least it's easy that you can do it online, so you can try to find some coach online, and you can play, of course, online, every day on the different websites. Although ideally I think it's better to play live, but now it's much more easy, of course, to play online, because you can just switch your phone or computer and you can play instantly many games. Otherwise you have to travel to the chess club, you have to go back, you have to, and if the chess club, maybe there will be no people, so you'll just waste your time. But yeah, online now is possible. Yes, you can also find a lot of videos online, many different chess books you can download, which is also good. If you know where to search, you can find many books for free, so you don't need to buy them ideally. Yes, here also in Eastern Europe, maybe in Africa, I also know, but people, of course, they cannot afford to spend so much money about the chess programs and about chess books, so they find a way to find some free stuff on internet, which is good. But yes, this is the advice which I can give them, to try to find friends, to try to find a good coach, because not everybody is going to become a great player, but I think many kids, they go to the chess tournaments because they have friends there, they meet friends. So for them to go to chess tournament is good because they meet their friends, they play some chess, and everyone has different interests. If you don't want to improve so much, at least you can go and play some chess and enjoy your time with the friends. If you want to compete, then you go and win the tournament. So everyone can find his own path.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Just a last question then for the people that will see the interview and listen to your wealth of experience. Well, of course, we are happy to have you as a coach for Elite Chess now, and would be happy to have more people from South Africa working with you as a coach. Maybe what can you tell them about your coaching style that can convince them to get one of your coaching packages with us?
Yes, I think the main thing about my coaching style is that I'm trying to teach my students to understand the game and to understand in general every move they make. So I'm not those type of coach who wants to show them some very long theoretical lines, 20 moves, and I said you have to remember this. More I prefer to show them different moves, to ask them why do you make this move, because they need to understand the reason behind every move. And this is the most important, to be able to understand the game and to be able to understand what is the plan, to find a good plan in every position. I think even if you don't know a lot of theory, if you know in general what is the plan, how should you structure your position, where should be the pawns, the knights, the bishops, where should you castle, it will help you to improve your game. And this is, I think, the most important. And of course, I usually focus on all the part of the games, openings, middle game, and end games. All of them are important for different reasons. I think in the game of the kids, usually the opening and the middle game are more important because the game is decided with attack, with checkmate, or someone blunders his queen, his rook. So you just have to grab material. The end games are important, but they're important when you become a little bit stronger. Because when you become stronger and you meet some guys who are at your level and you cannot checkmate them in 20 moves, so the game is more balanced, and then you have to go to the end game. And here you have to know when the end game is winning, when is draw, when is losing, because it will help you to take decisions during the game. For example, sometimes you can go in the end game, or you can continue to attack. And if you don't know if the end game is winning or losing or draw, then what to do? You don't know. That's why people have to know first, of course, the basic end games, and then to have a better end game technique. And actually, I have noticed that in many kids tournaments, when they are more or less on the same level, the kid who is better in the end game, he always wins the game. Because he has this strategy. When you are good in the end games, actually, you can do this. You can set up some opening where you just feel comfortable without so many attacking possibilities for your opponent, some, let's say, equal position, but very solid. And then gradually you start to exchange pieces. And children, actually, they exchange pieces very easy because when you offer them a trade, they always take. They never go back or do something. They always exchange. And then most of the children, they don't know what to do in the end games. I remember when I was young, and there was some kind of joke, which actually is not exactly a joke, but when an old player plays a young player, the old guy always wants to exchange pieces and to go into end game because you say you have to go with the kids in the end game, and they don't know what to do. And so end games are also important.
Okay. Now, on that note, I think we'll finish the interview here. Thank you so much, Grandmaster Marian Petrov. And yes, I hope that you all learned something from this video, and that, yeah, we'll be getting you to work with this very, very experienced chess grandmaster. Thank you. As always, keep chessing.
Thank you. Okay.